this is Nightbringer36, bringing you yet another movie review. Now, my subscribers, or anyone who happens to have seen it, may remember my review of Cthulhu 2007 from a few months back, and it was probably one of the largest disgraces to H.P. Lovecraft's work that I have ever seen. Since then, I've been trying to find a film or any piece of serious media that really did Lovecraft's work justice. I have not been able to find that. I did, however, watch the movie The Dunwich Horror, which obviously follows the events of the Dunwich Horror, the short story by H.P. Lovecraft. It certainly was not as bad as Cthulhu 2007. I mean, very few things can be as bad as Cthulhu 2007. But the Dunwich Horror still faced a few of the problems that Cthulhu 2007 had, as well as tying up a few of the other problems. It does have its main faults, though. Similarly to Cthulhu, this movie lacked a good script, and that is one of its major downfalls. Oftentimes, the lines were just so ridiculous or over the top, I just couldn't take it. In the second part of the movie, which again I watched on YouTube, the main character, Professor Armitage, referred to one of the demons as a 1,000-year-old alien demon. Now, normally I wouldn't have a problem with this, but he said it so seriously, with such a straight face, I pretty much just turned off the video there and didn't bring it up again for another month, which is why it's been so long since I've done a review. However, about a week back, I decided to flip on over again and give it a shot. Getting past some of the rather corny dialogue, I found a movie that was still lacking in several areas, but was still entertaining. That's probably this movie's biggest point. It is at least somewhat entertaining, unlike Cthulhu 2007. Another point is that this movie, unlike Cthulhu, actually had special effects, computer-generated special effects. Now, while these might have been pretty bad, they were probably much more humorous than they were creepy or intimidating in any way. But at least they were trying. It's not a fish head drawn on a paper plate. This is actually an effect that someone made on the computer. So I gotta commend them for at least trying to do that. However, sometimes these special effects are just completely over the top. Like, at one point, Professor Armitage, just out of nowhere, starts shooting lightning bolts at the quote, 1,000-year-old alien demon, blah, blah, blah. Which, as far as I know, my knowledge of the Cthulhu mythos is not as complete as many's, but as far as I know, people can't just go Darth Sidious on anyone they want and start zapping everything in sight. But this is, like I said, this is all at the beginning of the movie, and it gets a bit better after that. Once again, heaven forbid they stick close to Lovecraft's original story. Now, in the original story, it pretty much told the tale of Wilbur Whateley, I think is how you pronounce it. His last name. That's how I pronounced it, so that's how I'm going with this. And his quest to help his father summon the Dunwich Horror, a creature created by Yog-Sothoth. Excuse me for the pronunciation. And he's trying to get his hands on a copy of the Necronomicon. Now, in the book, I always, visualized Whateley as a child with a very adult-like, mind. Yeah. In the movie, he's an adult with a very childlike mind, so that sort of completely flipped around when I thought of this character. Now, I don't know what other people thought of this, but this is just my opinion. It really reminds me of a much more evil Pee Wee Herman, really. It just comes off as silly. The other members of the Whateley household are pretty much how they're shown in the book, and have pretty much similar roles. Nothing really to say there. But this movie focuses more on the professors from the university, Professor Armitage and two other people whose names I cannot remember. Armitage is supposedly like the ringleader of this group, researching the artifacts and apparently creatures of the Cthulhu mythos. And they of course have to mention Innsmouth and all that, which is neat and all, here are the references. But personally, I would have preferred if they stuck to Armitage and what actually happened in Dunwich, and just have the professors come in at the end like they did in the book. Um, Other than that, I'd say another problem with this story is that it had to have a love interest. I am so sick of this in these movies. There was no love interest in the story. Why does there need to be one in the movie? I cannot comprehend this need to put a love interest in it. On a good note, the story actually does have a decent plot twist in terms of the quest for the Necronomicon, which is obviously the center of the whole movie. Um, it's a neat idea that they pulled off with it, and the special effects that go along with it are actually neat. That was actually the only point in the movie that actually made me jump, so that says something about it. Um, in the end, of course, the Dunwich Horror is released. It's invisible. You have to fight it off. It's like grabbing people out of the sky and stuff. Excuse me. Standard good versus evil ending. Pretty much the same thing from the book. Excuse me again. Sorry, I'm sick. Once again, they never mention the fabled hill from the book, where this monster's supposed to be growing or drawing power or something. They just fight it in the fields of the Watley, around the Watley home, which is sort of anticlimactic in my opinion. And the Dunwich Horror itself actually just looks like a giant worm with a skull face and tentacles. I mean, not exactly how I envisioned it, not exactly how it was described, but I guess it works. I mean, limited budget and all. Overall, I'd say this was not as bad a movie as Cthulhu 2007 by a lot. If you're a fan of the series and are willing to take a few liabilities with this one, you're willing to sort of not expect a lot from it, but just a little entertaining joint, I'd check it out. Otherwise, it's not necessary to see. I would give this one as a star rating, maybe 3 out of 5. 3.5 maybe. And that's all. Thank you.